What is going on, Nakamas? Chapter 1182 of One Piece may have just given us one of the craziest Zoro and Sanji moments we've seen in years. And honestly, this chapter feels like a massive warning from Oda to the entire One Piece world. Because what we witnessed here was not just strength anymore, it was domination. And the scary part? It feels like Zoro and Sanji are only getting started. The two wings of the Pirate King are beginning to evolve into absolute monsters right before our eyes. And after this chapter, fans are seriously starting to wonder if they're already approaching Yonko Commander levels, or maybe even beyond that. So before we dive into this insane chapter analysis, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below right now. Who is stronger at this point in the story, Zoro or Sanji? Because after chapter 1182, this debate has officially exploded again. The chapter immediately throws us into a tense and chaotic atmosphere. The battlefield feels heavier than ever, and Oda does something very interesting from the beginning. He places massive focus on Zoro and Sanji specifically. Not Luffy, not the Gorosei, not the bigger world events. Instead, Oda shines the spotlight directly on the two men standing beside the future Pirate King. And honestly, that feels intentional. It almost feels like Oda is preparing us for something huge involving both of them in the final saga. First, let's talk about Zoro because this man looked absolutely terrifying in this chapter. The way Oda drew his expressions, the aura around him, even the reactions from the enemies nearby, everything screamed pure intimidation. Zoro no longer feels like someone chasing greatness. He feels like someone who is beginning to stand among legends. And did anyone else notice how similar his presence felt compared to characters like Kaido or even Dracula Mihawk? The cold eyes, the overwhelming pressure, the silence before attacking. Oda clearly wanted readers to feel fear through the enemies around him. There's even a moment where nobody dares to move after Zoro grabs a sword. And honestly, scenes like that are why fans believe Zoro is getting dangerously close to Mihawk's level. Maybe not fully there yet, but after this chapter, it no longer sounds impossible. But then Oda switches to Sanji, and things become even more interesting. Because this might secretly be one of the most important Sanji chapters we've gotten in years. Ever since Wano, fans have wondered how far Sanji's germ awakening would push him, and chapter 1182 gives us a terrifying glimpse of the answer. His speed is completely broken at this point. Enemies can't even react to him anymore. There are moments where it literally feels like Sanji disappears from existence before smashing opponents with overwhelming force. But the craziest part is not even the speed. It's how brutal Sanji feels now. His attacks are heavier, more violent, and far more aggressive than before. And honestly, that's weird, because Sanji has always balanced power with emotion and personality. But in this chapter, there's a coldness in him that feels different. Especially during one specific scene after he destroys an enemy. His expression looked emotionless. No jokes, no flirting, no comedic reaction, just silence. And that moment has fans asking a terrifying question. Is Sanji slowly losing part of his humanity because of his Germa powers? Because Oda keeps dropping small hints that something deeper is happening inside Sanji mentally, and chapter 1182 might have pushed that storyline forward again. And then comes a moment that completely breaks the internet. Zoro and Sanji fighting together. And wow, Oda absolutely knows how powerful this duo is for the fandom. The second both of them appear side by side, the entire atmosphere of the chapter changes instantly. The enemies panic. The allies regain confidence. And readers immediately feel like two natural disasters have entered the battlefield together. What makes this scene even more important is how much it reinforces the idea of the wings of the Pirate King. Luffy may be the center of the story, but Zoro and Sanji are the pillars supporting the future king of the pirates. Without them, the Straw Hats cannot survive the final war that is clearly approaching. And honestly, this chapter feels like Oda is showing us that these two are finally becoming strong enough to stand against the monsters of the world government itself. Now here's where things get really interesting, because I think Oda might actually be setting up Zoro and Sanji for something much bigger than fans realize. What if chapter 1182 is quietly preparing them to fight the Holy Knights later in the final saga? Think about it. Ever since Egghead, the power level of the world has escalated massively. The enemies no longer feel like simple Yonko commanders. The world government is starting to reveal terrifying new monsters. And Oda might be telling us that the Straw Hats need another huge evolution before the final war truly begins. If that's true, then Zoro and Sanji may soon face enemies far stronger than King and Queen ever were. And honestly, after this chapter, it feels like they might actually be ready for that challenge. But now I want to hear your theories, because Chapter 1182 leaves behind some massive questions. Did Zoro already reach a level close to Mihawk? Is Sanji slowly changing mentally because of Germa's modifications? And most importantly, have Zoro and Sanji already surpassed King and Queen completely? Because if the answer is yes, then the wings of the Pirate King may already be evolving into two of the strongest monsters in the entire world of One Piece. And if that's true, then the final war is